Keith, 5 games remaining of the normal season and still everything there to play for you and the lads.
It's exciting. We're very positive. We're looking forward to it. We've worked ever so hard to get into this position, and we've got every reason and belief that we can be successful in the remaining 5 games.
I mean, how difficult is it for you and the players when you haven't had the best of luck recently and you know, you've found wins hard to come by?
It's difficult. It is. I won't deny that. And it can affect the self-belief, but we're very positive. We're positive in the training ground. We're positive in our, preparations going into matches. We're positive before the game, during the game, half-time, and we are positive after the game. I would say we were disappointed with the performance against Walsall. There's not been too many performances where we've been really disappointed. But we've recovered, and there has to be, you have to look at the game, you have to analyse it, and you have to move on quickly. That's sport for you. And I don't like taking any negativity into the next day or the next training session. And we're very positive as we lead into, obviously, the game on Saturday against Salford.
You mentioned before that sometimes when you have runs like this, it can have an effect on the confidence of players. What do you do to try and counteract that, to sort of try and inject a bit of self-belief for them, even though things haven't been going so well?
Remind them of how good they are. Remind them of how good they've always been. And when I talk about always been, majority of our players were probably the best player, when they were growing up in the school team, in the town team, some of them national team, in academy teams. So we have to remind them how good they are, how effective they've been, and you hope that the plan is for them to refine that self-belief. What you can't do, and you're a parent, is you can point people in the direction, but you can't keep doing it for them.
Yeah. And a good result against Salford would be a perfect kickstart to this last group of matches that can make all the difference.
Well, that's the plan. And the plans, you adjust your plans, but we have to play the games in isolation. I think there's been too much speculation of what we could do, what we potentially, could achieve. And I think that can sidetrack you. I think it can take your concentration off what you need to affect, which is the next game. At this moment in time, we're in a playoff place. We're not in the playoffs. When we were in the top 3, we were in a top 3 place position. We hadn't finished in the top 3. And I think we've probably taken our eye off the most important aspect of retaining the top 3 place, which is the next performance, the next game. And we have to get back to just dealing with the individual games and performances individually and collectively. And when things aren't going for you, work harder to make it right. And I fully respect the players who brought us to this position, but we might need a little change to get better successes in the last 5 games.
And what sort of changes do you mean? You mean changes in personnel or just changes possibly in the way you're doing things?
Both.
Yeah.
It's got to stimulate a positive mind bomb. Previous successes, I've changed shape, personnel, just to give the players something different to concentrate on. And it's worked to good effect, because we can't keep looking at the league position. We've got to deal with the games, and we've got 5 great games, to make a difference. Make a difference today. And that's the message going into the next game. But if you're not getting what you want, and we all want success on a match day, you've got to work harder. You've got to break the opponent. You've got to take the game to the opponent. When you wait, it's very difficult to achieve what you need to. I have a saying, waiters work in restaurants, and that's no disrespect to anyone who works in a restaurant. But in the football world or the sporting world, if you wait, it does affect your opportunities to be successful.
And finally, for me, Keith, any team news you can give us in terms of players available, players unavailable?
Well, the only unavailable player for certain is Scott Davis. We've got one or two niggles. We've got one or two who are suffering with fatigue, but we've been in and trained very well today. A lot of enthusiasm, and we'll select a side that we feel as though can get us 3 points against Salford at the weekend.
Great, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Keith, of course, you'll be without Jay Spearing as well this week due to his suspension. You had Leo Connor on the bench at the weekend. He's a player who's obviously sort of came into the club at right back, but has spent quite a bit of time in midfield as well. Maybe we see a return of him.
It's his natural position. It's 100% his natural long-term footballing career position.
And of course, likewise, Otis Khan went the other way, didn't he? He came in midfield and has ended up at right back. He's a player that has done well in that position, but I sense maybe in the last couple of games has just been a little bit short on confidence and pushing forward. Is that a fair comment?
I think it's somebody who, again, will have a career and a big career at right back. I think that's his position, and it's like anything. You have to work things out. And he's in a period in his career playing in what I believe is his rightful position. He's got to work things out.
James Vaughan back on the pitch. Welcome sight for everyone midweek. We know he's short of game time and he's barely trained, but how is he after his appearance on Tuesday? And I suppose what fans really want to know is how long will it take him to get up to pace to be able to start matches?
I would say that he's going to be probably used as a substitute for the foreseeable future. I will only know, and Varney will only know when he gets that feeling, that physical feeling, and the 100% trust in his knee, the recovery, and obviously, when he does take the field of play, there's a certain amount of swelling that he has to make sure that he manages correctly so that we can get him ready for appearances and minutes, on match days. So it's down to Varney. We can't speed the process up. We have to be patient.
Obviously, any business end of a season is a high pressure environment. There's been a lot of pressure on the players, particularly once they moved into the automatic promotion places, something we've not been able to hold that position. But if in that sense, has there been maybe a little bit too much pressure put on the players, given that Tranmere haven't been in that top three for the majority of the season? In fact, they've barely been there.
No, I think we all like pressure. I think we do. Pressure makes a diamond. Not everybody can accept the demands and the pressures of the position that we're in. And we have to accept that. But it's a great pressure. I don't fear it. It's our livelihood. It's what we do. It's what we want to continue doing. The players, they are accepting the challenges. There's no question about that. And will respond. They've definitely recovered. And I try and keep my emotions in check, treat each game and results in isolation, never get too high, never get too low, and trust the players. Trust the players to perform and make sure we get the results. And I don't look at the pressures of league position. Whether you're fighting relegation or you're fighting for promotion, I don't look at it or see it as a pressure. There's real life pressures. This is a game of sports, a game of football that we all embrace. And I don't believe there's such pressure in playing a game. I don't believe it. I really don't. And I trust the players. We're very positive. They want to achieve. But sometimes you get a little bit like what we spoke about the other day. You get the nervous 90s.
Salford are an ambitious club. They've proven to have a bit of a short patience with their managers, as it's turned out, in the pursuit of success with changes. But how's the support been for yourself? Are you getting the right support, you believe, from the manager, or sorry, from the chairman since he brought you in?
I think so. When I spoke with him, 100%, yes. Like I said, I took the challenges because I believe that we can get promoted. And that's not changed. And it's been reinforced by the players that I'm working with and by the support from the chairman, the board, and the staff. The staff have been amazing. For me to come in on my own and work with a group of staff, they've been absolutely superb. And my beliefs, my demands haven't changed with respect to whether we're sat third in the table or sat 15th or 13th or 18th, and we're going through a difficult period, but we will come through it. There's no question about that. The club, myself, the players will respond and we'll definitely come through it. But support, I've had magnificent support from the community, from the Super Whites, and yes, there is a frustration. I understand the frustration. We all get a little bit frustrated and emotional. I'm the same. But I look at the bigger picture. I always have done. We played against Walsall the other evening. And again, without being disrespectful, up until Tuesday night, I'd won more games than Walsall than their manager had. And it took them 15 games for them to win the first game as him being a manager. Now, I think that's support. I think that's good ownership skills, but I'm getting the same type of support of Mark and the board. But, certainly Rome wasn't built in a day unless you watch the advert. But we're very optimistic about our remaining opportunities.
Just looking at the sides in the playoff window at the moment and their form guide, if you look at the last 20 matches played by all teams, there's only 3 W's on that league table, which is showing that teams in and around this area are struggling for form, or at least struggling to get results. So that's there for someone to take, isn't it?
It's there for somebody to take. It's been an exceptionally unordinary season from every aspect. I think we've played 52 games. And it's Saturday, Tuesday. It's relentless, physically and mentally. And we're asking the players for more. Well, yeah, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity we've earned the right to take. And we've got 5 games to take that and earn that opportunity. Even though we've done all the hard work to get where we are, we have to make sure that we are good enough, mentally clear enough to take on the challenges of the last 5 games. And it is the last 5 games, starting with Salford. But we're optimistic, we're positive, and we're going to perform.
Final one from me. You obviously in this pandemic, as I touched on in a previous press, you've been limited in what interactions you've been able to have with supporters. But I noticed this week you've been out in the community, been to a local school, and also I think you went to see a guy with dementia yesterday. A visitor, a new voice for someone in the community. How have you found that experience this week?
Yeah, it's something that I like doing. I like making contact with people anyway, because a lot of people have struggled with this pandemic. Not just in the football world, but in reality as well. And I think it's important to pick up the phone to forgotten friends, of people just in the community who might need a chat. I often did it when I was sat in a beer garden or a pub, where I just talked to somebody I'd never met before. And it's something that I think more people should do. You should pick up the phone, or you should get out now that you can get out into the communities and speak with people, because a lot of people have suffered, from lack of communication. And I think it's really important that we all reach out, because there's a lot of people who have suffered. We're talking about men's, women's mental health, but for me as well, children. Children need companionship. They need to being around their own age group so that they learn, they're active. We don't want to see children isolated. And I think it's important that we start building communities again through communication. And it was a real privilege to go out yesterday into the community. And it's something that I wanted to do. And I think it's something that we should all do, you know, now that I suppose the pandemic limitations have been lifted slightly, and reach out to the people who have been struggling.